Hello there. This is Elena and my channel Enough. Today I'm saying enough of death and enough of stupidity again. In the war between Russia and Ukraine, which Russia started without any reason, there were and there is now a lot of stupidity. And today I have some sort of a emergency video or something. I didn't plan to make it, and I wasn't planning to talk about military operations because there are people who are doing it way better than I do. Even I have a lot of knowledge about what's happening in Ukraine. For people who doesn't know me, I'll introduce myself again. I am originally from Russia. I was born in USSR and I lived in Russia for a long time. And 18 years ago, I immigrated into Canada, and now for many years I live in Canada. I used to be an assistant professor in several Russian universities, was teaching economics and stock markets and so on, and banks. So now I'm a writer and a traveler, which visited about 8 countries and 42 states of United States. So I have experience of living in 2 dictatorships, USSR and Russia, and now I live in a free country, Canada. And yes, it is a free country, just in case some trolls decided to bother me again about that. And today I will try to make a video a little bit more about the front in Ukraine, what's happening in there. And as you know, probably many people in other countries, except probably Russia, know what's happening. It's a counteroffensive going on, which Ukraine is doing. And according to Ukrainian representative Mr. Podolyak, who is the advisor of the Ukrainian president, Mr. Zelensky, he was saying in the past that Ukraine is gonna do counteroffensive in several different places. And this is a smart choice because Ukraine is trying to save their troops. And now, with the help of HIMARS and some other weapons provided by other countries, Ukraine can actually achieve quite a bit. And Russia expected that Ukraine will continue to attack on the south, basically near Kherson, which is south. And it didn't happen. It happened near Kharkiv. And exactly Balaklia became famous city in the last few days because it was liberated by Ukrainian forces, and within 2 days Ukrainian forces moved 50 kilometers, which to capture that territory, Russian army, which was considered the second army in the world, it took them months and a half. And now in 2 days, Ukraine moved from Balaklia and captured big, important transportation city of Kupyansk, and even the city of Izyum, as far as I know, captured now, and Liman. And even maybe a few more cities. I just don't want to say something which isn't, I'm not sure it's true. But for sure, the Balaklia and Kupyansk and Izyum captured, not captured by, but liberated by Ukrainian forces. And we will see what's happening there soon enough. Couple words about Kupyansk. No matter what Russian propaganda is saying, which they saying that, oh, it's not a defeat, it's not a panic running of the army, it's a strategic retreat or something like that, which is not. Near Izyum, about 10,000 Russian troops either already encircled or gonna be encircled very soon. So how the situation was progressing. I think I'd rather show it better. What I'm doing, basically, in the last 9 years, I collected a lot of information, valuable information about the war in Ukraine, which Russia started in 2014. I have a video, even a whole playlist of videos, couple playlists, in fact, but I united about 5 or 6 major videos in one little playlist about what important to know about the war in Ukraine, which you can see. I'll give the link in the end of this video. So I won't talk about this just now. And I can tell that for the last 9 years, I was watching the situation very closely. I was researching it. I was verifying the information. And right now, I kind of stopped writing the mystery books I was writing recently and traveling. And I created this channel enough 3 months ago. And I trying to share that information. So I don't see why I would do the job which other people doing already and they doing it great. So I will share with you some valuable information from respectful and important channels on YouTube, for instance, who providing good and accurate information most of the time, at least. And I found this channel, I verified them, and now I'm sharing it with you. Some of them in English, some of them in Russian, just in case Russian-speaking people watching the video, but also I'll provide them in the description. And Russian, there is a Russian video also, so for Russian people there is a video like that in Russian. So one of the channels, it's Russian channel done by Maxim Katz, and it's called Ukraine Attack, What Happens Next. It has English subtitles. So you're welcome to watch it. It's talking about the attack on those cities. This is Balakleya, Izyum, and Kupyansk. So this is basically what happened.
Окружение 10-тысячной группировки российских войск.
This is encircled.
Это тот самый ударный кулак, который в планах кремлевского командования должен был весной окружить всю группировку ВСУ на Донбассе. И вот за лето и одну осеннюю декаду все перевернулось с ног на голову. И теперь эта группировка рискует сама оказаться в окружении. Сейчас ВСУ полностью вошли в Шевченково, дошли до Купянска, но не стали ввязываться в бои за город, а направили...
So what happened? From Balakleya, Ukrainian forces went to Shevchenkovo and then Kupyansk, but they started not to fight for the cities itself. They just kind of walk around it and they moved this way.
Главные силы на юг, чтобы захватить 2 ключевые переправы через водохранилище на реке Оскол. В ответ российское командование бросилось затыкать дыры и вводить свежие резервы. Из России...
So what happened? So basically they trying to encircle that group of forces near Izyum and they going along the river Oskol. The Russians started to bring fresh reinforcements, which is not so good because they consist from either prisoners of the convicts of the prisons and stuff like that, and they're not well trained. And some of them they delivered by helicopters, which is...
И пошли колонны техники, а пехоту срочно перебрасывают крупнейшими транспортными вертолетами Ми-26. Каждая такая корова, как их называют в армии, может перевозить всего 82 бойца. Речь тут не о дерзкой десантной операции, а о попытках хоть как-то и хоть чем-то перемещать личный состав российской армии на участке прорыва. Делать это при помощи вертолетов все равно, что тушить большой пожар вручную ведрами. Решение принято явно не от хорошей жизни и вряд ли окажет какое-то масштабное влияние на происходящее. В случае захвата переправ украинской армии группировка в Изюме сможет снабжаться только через 3 оставшиеся переправы на реке Оскол у сел Оскол, Букино и Яремовка. И все эти переправы простреливаются артиллерией ВСУ.
So basically you saw what just happened. And at the time Mr. Katz was making video, Kupyansk wasn't liberated, neither was Izyum. Now they are liberated. There is Ukrainian army in there, and we will see right now how Ukrainian army moving in Kupyansk and Izyum. This channel is TCM clips. I'm not often using it, but it has interesting video clips and stuff like that. I'm relatively new to active YouTube activities, and I'm trying not to infringe on somebody's rights. Of course, I'll give links to all the videos, and you guys welcome to watch them.
All right, first thing that I want to do is show you this week or so. Check more land.
So
as you can see, the Ukrainian forces have taken back a lot of land, and there are unconfirmed rumors when it's not confirmed. Important city to the Russians. Now their supply lines are cut, and this is definitely a blow to them.
This is Ukrainian troops entering Kupyansk. That's a city which is important transportation node, I would say. But there is a railroad, and that's how the Russian forces supplying the army through that city. And capturing it is a really big deal.
And now let's go south to Izyum. These are some of the tanks that the Russians have left behind. As you can see, there's fields and fields of them. They're literally everywhere. They simply pretty much grabbed what they can carry and left. They left a ton of weapons, not only tanks, but other important weapons as well. In my opinion, this is definitely good for the Ukrainians. They can resupply, they can reuse some of these weapons. The same weapons Russia used to attack the Ukrainians.
So, as you can see that now Ukraine might say to the Western allies, say, thank you very much, we don't need your supplies anymore. Now our biggest supplier is Russia. And I can little bit explain about those tanks in here, why they are abandoned. As some Russian soldier was on some other channel I was watching today saying that, they say, why don't you use your tanks? Well, some of them can shoot, but they cannot move. And some of them can move, but they cannot shoot. So probably that's the reason why they abandoned. And this channel is very interesting. I'm watching that young gentleman speak the truth quite a bit. He is often always providing very interesting information, and sometimes he's showing what Russian propagandist has to say about that. So Russian propagandists are really afraid, and that's what they're saying.
Громадной орде, подготовленной на Западе, по-другому и не скажешь.
Our troops resisted to that huge horde of military forces which trained on the West, he's saying.
Конечно, как вы сами понимаете, ночь тревожная, и я жду, как вы все, отчетов. Там все тяжело.
And Mr. Solovyov, with a face, it's one of the main Russian propagandists, one of the most craziest one. Kind of remind me of Hitler a little bit. A piece of garbage who is lying to Russian people every day, who is instigating attacks and even nuclear attacks on the Western countries, trying to spread the hatred, and so hating the West, and it's so bad and so awful. Yet he himself has at least 2 villas in Italy, which is arrested right now, which I'm glad about. So this is bad guy who gonna sit right beside Putin on a new Nuremberg process, which I would hope will be held in Mariupol in Ukraine, and will be responsible for the war crimes, because that much hatred, as much hatred as him, I don't think. Well, there are a few other Russian propagandists spreading.
Все понятно. Но и не могло не быть тяжело. Это специальная военная операция. Гибнут люди. Это, мы же сами все понимаем.
So now he's calm, not screaming anymore.
Ситуация серьезная и тяжелая.
ВСУ пошли в наступление. В результате
That another bad woman. Olga Skabeyeva. Her place is on in the same bench of the criminals, together with Solovyov and Putin.
В результате тяжелых боев есть информация, что российские подразделения все-таки покинули Балаклею. Бойцы Росгвардии организованно вышли из города через коридор на восточной окраине. В наступление на Харьковском направлении ВСУ бросило подготовленные в Британии части. Новости тревожные, информация.
So, I watched some other videos too. Russian propagandists are panicking. I can't even watch them calm enough. Like, they are so much evil bad guys that I just having a hard time watching them. But nevertheless, the channel is very interesting, and and this is what Russian most lying Russian has to say. This is the owner of the channel, and very good gentleman who is explaining a lot of stuff, and he's showing lots of maps and so on.
Himself.
Для достижения заявленных целей специальной военной операции по освобождению Донбасса принято решение перегруппировать российские войска, находящиеся в районах Балаклеи и Изюма, для наращивания усилий на Донецком направлении. С этой целью...
So that idiot showing where they're regrouping Russian troops, they're showing the roads where they're going, and asking for Ukraine to bomb them, basically. How stupid Russian army need to be. So he trying to say that it's all planned and so on, which is a lie, as always. Remember his face, never trust him, ever. And don't trust Putin. This is another very good channel, Jake Bro, and he has a lot of information also. I would recommend to watch this video. It's called Russian Military Front Lines Have Collapsed. And that's what he's saying. Ukrainian forces have liberated 1,000 square kilometers, 390 square miles on territory since September 1st, and recaptured dozens, like over 30, as President Vladimir Zelensky says. I've seen it in the other videos. And this is how Ukrainians liberating their territory and how
absolutely incredible to territory gain on the west. There's fantastic.
How they're greeted by the people, and this is what
these are, I guess, ammunition warehouses that a HIMARS missile hasn't successfully destroyed, but this is now under Ukrainian control. Lots of guns and artillery and ammunition that the Ukrainian military commissions onto trucks to put them to good use. In addition, hundreds of...
So that's how Ukrainians getting resupplied right now, and they're probably happy for them. Another thing he's saying is about this man, Russian Lieutenant General, captured with whole bunch of information on him proving war crimes of Russia and their military plans. So, and also talking about Ukrainian prisoners of war, in what terrible conditions they are, which they get exchanged. They look like they are from Nazi Germany concentration camp. So I highly recommend that channel. This channel is by Denis Davidov, also talking telling lots about the different military operations and showing maps and everything. Quite a good channel. I'm watching him also quite a bit. And this is the stupidity of Russian troops.
Complicated information war being waged. The vehicles seen in the video all carry a V symbol,
Warthog Defense,
which, like the Z symbol seen elsewhere, may represent one of Russia's avenues of advance into Ukraine. Some have identified the troops as part of the Rosgvardia, Russia's National Guard and security force. However, this cannot be confirmed. But, as with a photo of a squad of Russian soldiers seemingly trapped in an elevator, we can analyze what we see, and in this case, it isn't good. This might be the funniest video of military incompetence I've ever seen. Remember folks, when ambushed, stop directly in the kill zone, huddle together confused and afraid, but don't return fire, and then point your rifle directly at your buddy's head. The video starts with a number of troops in a lackadaisical retreat from a truck.
So this is a very intelligent channel, Warthog Defense. I would recommend that one too. And this young gentleman, the channel is Insights from Ukraine and Russia. He's providing the information on Russian soldier talking to his wife. I think he may be not from Russia, but from one of those self-proclaimed republics. That's what he's saying.
А бронежилеты есть у вас? Да ничего у нас нету. Почему бронежилет? При чем бронежилет вообще? Сидим с касками стальными каких-то 45-х годов. Это позор. Вам хоть сказали, в какую сторону бежать? Никто ничего не сказал. Сказали на блокпост, а оттуда все пойдут куда-то.
Sorry guys, maybe I'm too excited in this video.
So basically, the troops are abandoned. Russian troops abandoned. They don't even know which way to run. They don't have a body armor. They just completely in very poor stage. And this video called Russians are retreating on foot. And this is another interesting channel, is called Telekanal Premy. It's a Ukrainian channel and they speak in Russian. And it's an interesting channel. I'm watching it sometimes. Another channel, this is in English. It's called Operator Starsky. And this young gentleman is in Ukrainian army, and he quite popular in English-speaking audience about talking about the war in Ukraine.
Breakfast and dinner. We're not talking about MRE. We're talking about like usual military food. Okay.
In this video, he answering questions and so on. The channel called Operator Starsky. And this channel is in Russian. It's called Current Time. They might have English subtitles. No, they don't. It's also about
Украинская армия вошла в Купянск.
Ukrainian army entered Kupyansk. Russian forces leaving Izyum.
Здравствуйте. Власти в Харьковской области 10 сентября подтвердили информацию об освобождении украинскими военными города Купянск. Об этом, в частности, сообщила советница главы региона об обеспечении город Харьковской области Ива утром.
He's saying that Ukrainian authorities confirmed that they liberated Kupyansk, that city we talked about in the beginning of the video, and lots of other things. This is how people
центром снабжения российской группировки в этом регионе. В Москве до сих пор не комментируют результаты украинского контрнаступления. Накануне президент Украины Владимир Зеленский заявил, что ВСУ освободили уже более 30 населенных пунктов в области. Их название он не сообщил, но известно также, например, о подтверждения, впрочем, все еще нет. По некоторым данным, вооруженные силы Украины уже форсировали реку Северский Донец, неподалеку от Лимана. Это город в Донецкой области.
He's talking about that Ukrainian forces crossed the river Seversky Donets near Liman, but now I know that Liman is already under control of Ukrainian forces. And this is how Russian army bombing civilians.
В самом Лимане украинские и российские источники в оценках расходятся. Кто-то утверждает, что город был оставлен, по крайней мере, частично. Но другие пророссийские телеграм-каналы сообщают, что из Лимана вывели подразделения МЧС, МВД и Росгвардии. Ставили его закопать останки. Узнал от местных жителей. Один из них рассказал, что еще в марте российские военные заставили его закопать останки.
In a settlement which was just liberated, they find 2 bodies of 2 dead men. And some gentlemen said that Russian forces forced him to bury those 2 guys. And now they're digging them back out. And I would say that this war is one of the most documented wars in history of mankind. Ukrainians, and so is some international representatives, are doing lots of research and CSI, basically investigations like a murder. And that is why they know what kind of situation happening, and when they find corpses, they do the whole investigation. How they were killed, kind of like a murder mystery. As a mystery writer, I can say I learn a lot about that, and I can say that Ukrainians and international specialists doing a lot to document the atrocities what Russian army is doing in Ukraine. And that's what I wanted to tell you about that. And in the end, I wanted to say that the operation near Izyum Russians might ended up get encircled 10,000 people in here. And I really feel good about Ukraine. It's good for Ukraine and it's good for Russia, no matter what Russians are thinking. For the country in general, defeat in the war in Ukraine will bring down Putin's regime, which will give Russians the chance for better future. Their only chance. Unfortunately, because of Putin, not because of me, I'm just a mirror. You can break the mirror, but I'm telling the truth how it is. That is why I created this channel, that this war in Ukraine is a wrong thing to do. Putin knew that and Putin did it anyway. In the other video, I'll probably tell about that some Russians, members of some parliaments, local parliaments, stood up against Putin and they signed the petition about Putin should resign, and that he's not good for Russia, and I totally agree with them. And I would say that the amount of stupidity Russian army done in Ukraine, beside the atrocities and stuff like that, like from the military point of view, Russian army did a lot of stupid things. From tactical to basically corruption. Many people asking me questions on Quora. I have there over 35,000 views on Quora, and answered almost 300 questions about that. And I can say that one of the reasons why Russian army so poorly perform in Ukraine is corruption. And those tanks you seen, they broken because they wasn't maintained. They built poorly. As the person who lived in two dictatorships, USSR and Russia, and now living in a free country, Canada, I can say that one of the main differences between free country and the dictatorship is, for countries like Canada, United States, and all countries of free world democratic countries, the human life is one of the most important things. For Russia and for other dictatorships, the country is first, and everybody else is, and the country in the face of the dictator. The dictator is first. His interests are first. And the rest of the country, the people, doesn't matter. People are expendable. People are cannon fodder. That is why when American plane, like I have been personally on many American military bases, because they have lots of interesting historical museums. They have air shows and stuff like that. And I've been in lots of military museums. I've seen a lot of planes and tanks and everything else, and I know quite a bit about that. And the point of American or NATO planes and tanks, it's protect the most valuable. It's protect the person, the pilot, the tank drivers, the crew of the tank. That is why they do certain amount of defense mechanisms in the planes and tanks. Russian tanks are burning like matches. Why? Because the system of delivery of shells in the tank is not good. And when the self-navigating rocket fell on the top of the tank and it get in, it just blew up. That's why you see so many of the turrets, the whole head of the tank kinda thrown around after that blow up. That is why. So is with the planes. Russians can make lighter plane and maybe more maneuverable because the economy on safety of the pilots, which foreign people know that the pilot is the most valuable part of the plane, and so on. So partly that, partly because, again, corruption, everything was stolen, and Russian people, Russian soldiers, basically starving. In the first days of the war, they freezing their feet off, basically, and they had to looting in the stores because they were starving. And so now, as you could see in one of the videos, they don't even have a safety gear or a life protecting vests and stuff like that, and so on. They basically collecting money from each other to fix their tank or machinery, or buy themselves, I don't know, a helmet. The whole internet full of videos when somebody breaking the helmets by punching it with a fist. And this is outright disgusting. Putin is a criminal. Not only because he attacked Ukraine, but because whatever he's doing with Russia. And I'll talk about it more in some other videos. And thank you for your attention. And have a good evening.